The confetti? It's already been swept away. The parades through downtown Seattle? They're a fading memory. The deafening cheers of the 12s have been replaced by the quiet, sterile hum of the training facility. Look, the 2025 Seattle Seahawks reached the absolute mountaintop, right? They hoisted the Lombardi Trophy after a completely grueling, legendary Super Bowl victory over the New England Patriots. It was a masterpiece. But I want you to really think about the cost of that victory. Think about the relentless, freezing ice baths, the off-season reconstructive surgeries happening in secret, the sheer agonizing exhaustion that literally seeps into a player's marrow after 20 straight weeks of high-speed car crash collisions. And you know what the cruelest part of all this is? In the unforgiving, cold machinery of the National Football League, yesterday's glory buys you absolutely nothing today. Zero. Welcome to NFL Nexus. In this explainer, we are diving deep into the dark, cinematic reality of a defending championship roster that is secretly bleeding. Free agency has completely taken its toll. Key pillars, the very men who built that championship foundation, have vanished into the night for massive paydays elsewhere. Now, as the 2026 season rapidly approaches, we're looking at a foundation that is undeniably cracked. It's a franchise-altering offseason, and let me tell you, the battle lines are already drawn. May 26th. The start of voluntary OTAs. That is when the real war begins. Because everything changed in a matter of seconds. Picture this. The final pick of the NFL draft is submitted. The clock strikes 0. And in that exact instant, a chaotic, desperate scramble commences across the entire country. Hundreds of undrafted players, guys whose phones were agonizingly silent for 3 straight days, suddenly find themselves fighting for their absolute professional lives. Now, you have to understand, these are not your guaranteed superstars with million-dollar signing bonuses and massive shoe deals. No, these are men clinging by their fingertips to the very edge of a cliff. When these unheralded players arrive in Seattle for OTAs, they are not just competing for a few extra reps or some playing time. They are fighting for literal survival in this league. One missed assignment, one slow step out of a break, one momentary lapse in concentration, and just like that, their NFL dream is extinguished forever. Packed up, sent home. There are no second chances here, guys. The stakes are quite literally life or death for their careers. The pressure is unbelievable. So the ultimate question is, when that pressure reaches an absolute boiling point, who will survive the cut? Uncovering these microscopic details, the hidden battles that completely dictate who stays and who goes, the silent, violent wars waged on the back practice fields. It requires a relentless, obsessive pursuit of the film. And that is exactly our mission here at your channel, NFL Nexus. But to keep uncovering the unvarnished, deep-level truths behind closed front office doors, we desperately need your support. So please, subscribe to the channel right now. Hit that like button on this explainer to feed the algorithm. Comment down below on who you think is going to secure those final, highly coveted roster spots. And most importantly, support the channel by becoming a channel member. Your membership is absolutely crucial. It gives us the resources to dissect the coach's tape, trace the guaranteed money, and bring you the cinematic truth of what is really happening in Seattle. We can't do it without you. Section 1. The Undrafted Warriors.
So, let's talk about the reality of playing under head coach Mike Macdonald. There is absolutely no room for passengers on his defense. None. Macdonald is a master tactician, a coach who demands absolute, militant precision and punishing physicality on every single snap. For an undrafted free agent stepping onto his practice field, the margin for error is microscopic. Remember, there is no draft capital to protect them. The front office isn't invested in them. So they must be violent. They must be undeniable. Just visualize the sheer imposing mass of Uso Seumalo, 6'3", 330 pounds. Let that sink in. Coming out of Kansas State, Seumalo is not a player who is going to light up the stat sheet, okay? He won't have double-digit sacks. He won't have those highlight reel interceptions that make the primetime broadcasts and get all the glory. But in Mike Macdonald's defensive scheme, his role is arguably the most vital piece of the entire puzzle. He is the anchor. He is the anvil. Visualize the A-gap at the snap of the football. It is a claustrophobic tunnel of pure violence. Seumalo does the dark, dirty, punishing work in those trenches. His entire job is to take on 600 pounds of opposing offensive linemen on a double team, to absorb unimaginable physical pain, and to dispense absolute immovability. He has to clog those rushing lanes so that the star linebackers behind him can run completely free and make the splash plays. The Super Bowl win over New England proved Seattle's absolute reliance on dominating the line of scrimmage, period. Seumalo is fighting for his professional life right now to prove he can be that immovable object that sustains this defensive dominance.
Now, read this next profile like a classified dossier on a highly specialized covert operative. Devian Deal, out of TCU. This is fascinating. He wasn't always a defensive hunter. Actually, he was formerly a tight end. And that transition, moving from catching passes and reading defenses to actively seeking out and destroying the men trying to catch those passes, it requires a unique, borderline obsessive mental agility. Over his 2 seasons at TCU, Deal evolved into an absolute weapon. Look at these numbers: 99 tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 8 sacks. And here's why he's so dangerous. Because he used to play offense, he knows the offensive mindset perfectly. It's like a sleeper agent. He knows the pre-snap tells. He sees the subtle leans of an offensive lineman's stance. He understands the intricate geometries of a blocking scheme that he must instantly dissect and defeat within milliseconds. He knows exactly how an offense is trying to attack him because he used to be the one doing the attacking. But here's the massive roadblock. Seattle's linebacker room is suffocatingly crowded. It is literally a den of hungry wolves. Deal enters this room as a developmental prospect, and he is going to have to fight tooth and nail against established, veteran killers to prove that his offensive past has created a defensive mastermind.
Section 2. The $250,000 gamble.
The tension on this roster only escalates when we look out to the edges of the defensive line. The Seattle Seahawks have a perilous, terrifying void right now. It's a gaping wound left by the departure of Boye Mafe in free agency. Make no mistake, Mafe was explosive. He was a cornerstone of that Super Bowl defense. And yes, the front office scrambled. They went out and acquired Dante Fowler Jr. at a fraction of the price. And look, it was a shrewd, cheap acquisition. But let's be real with each other, it is only a partial mitigation. It is a temporary bandage on an arterial bleed. The Seahawks are desperate, and I mean desperate, for young, grooming edge depth. And desperation in an NFL front office always leads to calculated, high-stakes bets. Enter Aiden Hubbard, the edge rusher out of Northwestern. Hubbard's dossier is a testament to raw, unyielding hostility on the football field. 105 tackles, 20.5 sacks over 4 years. Now, the scouts will be the first to tell you, he doesn't win with blazing, freakish 4.3 speed. He doesn't win with terrifying, supernatural power that just throws tackles to the ground. He wins with something that is actually much harder to teach: relentless, psychotic effort. He knows the dark art of getting off blocks. It is literal hand-to-hand combat in a phone booth. When the fourth quarter hits, when the lactic acid is just pooling in the opposing offensive tackle's legs and his lungs are screaming for oxygen, Hubbard is still violently shedding hands. He is still pursuing the quarterback like his very life depends on it. Because for an undrafted rookie right now, it literally does.
$267,500. I want you to let that massive number sink in for a second. That is the guaranteed money the Seahawks handed to Aiden Hubbard. In the cold, calculating world of undrafted free agency, money talks, and guarantees absolutely scream. To put that into perspective, this number is more than twice as much as any other undrafted free agent Seattle signed this entire offseason. This is not your standard run-of-the-mill rookie contract to just get a camp body. No way. This is a massive, flashing neon sign of intent. It is a $250,000 gamble by a front office exposing their own deep-seated desperation for edge depth. They are terrified. They are terrified of what happens if Fowler goes down with an injury in Week 3. They need Hubbard to be the immediate answer, and they paid a massive premium to ensure absolutely no other team in the league could steal him away in that chaotic post-draft scramble. So, the pressure resting squarely on Hubbard's shoulders right now to justify this massive financial leap of faith, it is immense. It is crushing.
Section 3. The new offensive blueprint.
But hey, the defense is only half the story here. The grim reality facing Seattle's offense is incredibly stark. We are looking at life without running backs Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonnet. The dual engines of this offense, gone. The physical, punishing identity of the ground game that won them a championship has been entirely erased from the whiteboard. And you cannot simply plug undrafted rookies into the old system and expect to defend a world title. You just can't. The foundation has crumbled, forcing a complete and total rewrite of the playbook. To orchestrate this massive, franchise-altering rewrite, Seattle brought in new offensive coordinator Brian Fleury. And let me be clear, Fleury isn't just bringing a binder of new plays, he's importing an entirely new philosophy. Step 1 of his plan: install the 49ers-style run game. Fleury was the run game coordinator in San Francisco. He knows the complex, wide-zone geometry that stretches defenses horizontally until they reach their absolute breaking points. It forces 250-pound linebackers to run sideline to sideline, hesitating for just a fraction of a second before the running back cuts violently upfield. Step 2, lean heavily on first-round pick, running back Jadarian Price. Price is the chosen one now. He is the new focal point of this entire franchise's rushing attack. But step 3, guys, this is the linchpin of the entire operation. Activate the fullback weapon.
In Fleury's mind, a running back operating without a dominant, versatile fullback is like a soldier entering a war zone without a shield. It just doesn't work.
Section 4. The secret weapon.
And Seattle happens to have a sleeper agent waiting in the shadows right now to fulfill this exact, highly specialized destiny. Meet Robbie Ouzts, a 2025 fifth-round pick, a former tight end for the Alabama Crimson Tide. In college, under Nick Saban, he learned the raw violence of SEC football. He learned how to block the most terrifying, freakish athletes on the planet. Seattle drafted him with a vision, but his rookie year, it was a frustrating enigma. And this number brutally illustrates his rookie plight, 27%. That is the shockingly low percentage of total offensive snaps Robbie Ouzts played during the regular season. Sure, injuries played a part, yes, but the stark reality of his rookie campaign is 0 regular season touches. 0. Nothing. He was effectively a ghost haunting the sidelines while the veterans went out and secured the Lombardi Trophy. Yet, there is a haunting piece of tape from the preseason against the Las Vegas Raiders. It's just a 17-yard flash of sheer brilliance, but it's everything. A moment where Ouzts caught the ball out of the backfield, turned upfield, and violently demonstrated the kinetic energy of a converted tight end operating in open space. He was a freight train. That one single play, that is the glowing ember that new coordinator Brian Fleury is now trying to pour absolute gasoline on.
To truly understand Fleury's grand vision for Ouzts, we have to look at the all-pro blueprint Fleury is actively importing. This is the gold standard, guys. This is what a fully optimized fullback looks like in this highly specific offensive system. Look at Kyle Juszczyk's 2025 stats in San Francisco. 24 receptions, 213 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the most vital metric of all, 10 first downs. Juszczyk isn't just some 1990s battering ram whose only job is to smash his head into a defensive tackle. No, he is an offensive linchpin. He is a crucial chain mover. He catches the ball more than he runs it. He serves as an absolutely critical safety valve for the quarterback, and he creates an absolute nightmare matchup for slower linebackers attempting to cover him in open space. Fleury helped build this specific lethal utilization in San Francisco over years of meticulous grinding coaching. And now he is under immense, suffocating pressure to replicate it immediately in Seattle.
So, let's compare the two. San Francisco's all-pro utilization versus Robbie Outz's 2026 potential. This isn't just a fun experiment. This is a monumental tactical necessity for Seattle. Think about it. Without Kenneth Walker, without Zach Charbonnet, rookie Jedarian Price is going to face stacked, heavy boxes every single Sunday. Defensive coordinators are going to dare him to beat them between the tackles. Price desperately needs a lead blocker who can violently clear out those linebackers. Think about that collision in the A-gap. It is a literal car crash on every single play, lowering the shoulder, dropping the pad level, and detonating the linebacker in the hole to create just a tiny crease for the running back. But more than just brute force, the offense needs a pass catcher out of the backfield to keep those defenses honest. Ouzts, with his tight end background at Alabama, has the exceptional athleticism to step directly into this precise Kyle Juszczyk role. If he can stay healthy, and if he can master the complex, dizzying route trees of Fleury's system, Ouzts transforms from a 27% afterthought into the skeleton key that unlocks the entire 2026 Seahawks offense.
And think about the massive ripple effect this has on the rest of the field. It's like a giant chess match. Let's talk about the aerial arsenal. Seattle has a wealth of outside weapons. A wide receiver room led by the brilliant, absolute surgical route running of Jackson Smith and Jigba, and they are eagerly awaiting the healthy return of Torrey Horton, a player who looked like an absolute star in the making before his devastating injury sidelined him. Now picture this. When Robbie Ouzts motions out of the backfield before the snap and forces a linebacker to trail him out to the flat in coverage, it fundamentally manipulates the geometry of the entire defense. It pulls safeties down into the box, it creates vast, empty windows in the middle of the field for JSN and Horton to completely exploit on deep crossing routes. You see? A dominant fullback doesn't just help the run game. He is the unsung catalyst for explosive, game-breaking downfield passing. It's all connected.
Section 5, the final roster countdown. But listen to me. Potential, theoretical blueprints, impressive college dossiers, calculated front office gambles, all of it means absolutely nothing without on-field execution. All of it is about to violently collide with reality. May 26 voluntary OTAs? That's just the warm-up act. The impending June 9th mandatory minicamp is the ultimate unforgiving proving ground. This is where the pads crack. This is where the heat rises. This is where a $267,000 guarantee is tested against the sheer, desperate will of an undrafted veteran who is literally fighting to feed his family. These micro battles we've explored today will be decided in the sweltering heat of those June practices. The offensive blueprint is drawn, the defensive guarantees are paid in full, the defending champions have set the stage for one of the most ruthless, high-stakes off-seasons in franchise history. Every single sprint, every block, every single repetition is being aggressively scrutinized by Mike Macdonald and Brian Fleury. The margin between holding a championship ring and holding a severed contract is paper-thin. So I leave you with this final unresolved thought. When the dust finally settles in Seattle, and that final 53-man roster is printed, who will actually survive? Make sure you are subscribed to NFL Nexus, hit that like button on this explainer, comment your thoughts down below, and seriously, join as a channel member. Because we will be right here analyzing every single piece of film to show you exactly how this cinematic story ends. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the trenches next time.